Hello, future people. Welcome to another episode of Comparing Wargaming Unfairly. Today, we're going to do a comparison to Dungeons and Dragons. Comparing Wargaming Unfairly is a rather silly series that I started doing last year, where I compare our hobby with some other similar hobbies or other hobbies, like just as a frame of reference, because we've all been there and had to justify why we do this hobby. First and foremost, I just want to make my position on this very clear, because it's kind of the whole point of the series. You should not have to justify your hobby to anybody. This is legit a miniature. Like, seriously, it's just a miniature. This is probably the most fair comparison I could make. This was a Christmas present that was brought for my housemate. He is allowing me to open this and look at it before he can. So, thank you, Steve. And it is a beholder. One of the most iconic things from Dungeons and Dragons. Seriously. Beholders are awesome, and we all know it. Let's get this down and have a look. Sorry to interrupt the video, but I want to tell you about the competition that we're running through our Patreon. For every month of support you give our Patreon, from now until April 2023, you will receive one entry into the competition that we're running to win a Shaltari fleet for Drop Fleet Commander. That includes a Shaltari Dreadnought, a Shaltari Starter Set, a Shaltari Frigates box, and a Shaltari Cruisers box. All of this will be sent to one winner. This winner will be drawn at random on our 4th anniversary, which is recorded at the beginning of April. For us to be allowed to send this to you, you need to fit 2 categories. You must be living in a country where it's legal for me to post you something from Australia. You also must be living in a country where it is legal to win competitions. If you do not live in a country that meets these criteria, then I do apologise. There's nothing that I'll be able to do, and I will be forced to redraw it. Please consider supporting us. We'd really appreciate it. All of this was purchased with my own money. All right. So, first things first. Artwork on this is pretty much what you would expect, honestly. I mean, look, it's really nice, but basically it's the miniature that you're receiving over the top of a picture that I kind of feel like we've seen on millions of products at this time. I could be wrong, but I kind of feel like I've seen this design on everything because it's a fairly iconic picture, this. I mean, the picture is phenomenal, but I just kind of feel like it's worth pointing out. On the back, you get an idea of what you're going to be receiving. So, first and foremost, we do actually get options here. You can choose the eye stalks that you wish to use. You have a main head. You've got different sets of teeth. So you could legitimately buy different versions of this and have them looking different. To the point where there's 2 different tongues. Alright, so in the box we get 2 bags. This one appears to be our main pieces. No, there's more in that. So let's go here first, because this appears to have the instructions. Clear base. Fairly standard looking one. Not 100% sure what that's for. So it's a fairly simple looking instruction kit. There's not really a lot to this. What do you need? Model glue, hobby knife, sprue cutter, mold line remover, flexi sanders, and primer. You don't need all of that, hopefully. Hopefully it's been designed a little better than that. They are actually showing you your options, which is nice. So you got 2 different build options here. You've then got another 2 different build options here. Another 2 build options there, depending on how you want to do it. And you either end up building that or that. And then you've got this, what is 30? We're going to have to come back and have a look at this. So this appears to be all of your eyes with the... So that's an eye that has a special effect. That's an eye that has a special effect. So that's a flame. That's a smaller flight base and a larger flight base. We then have an entire sprue of eyes. Detail on this doesn't look too bad. I wouldn't say it's phenomenal by any means, but it's certainly good. I would say probably high to middle tier as far as... Sorry, middle to like the higher end of the middle tier as far as the quality of the sculpture is concerned. Certainly very good as far as Wizkids is concerned. Wizkids are not known for phenomenal sculpting. But this is... I would say this is easily among some of their best work. Does come with a sculpted base, which is quite nice. Bit of a rocky texture. And then there's another rocky texture up here. So here is the answer to the question on the what's the word I'm looking for? On the instructions. There's actually a really tiny little beholder as well, for some reason. I'm not familiar with a baby beholder. Lovely looking teeth, like just absolutely savage looking. I like both of those options. I suspect that most people are going to struggle to pick. I suspect most people are going to be buying multiples of these. So here's where we start seeing the detail, by the look of it, is in the actual sculpt of the monster itself. Now, this tiny little one, I mean, the details on this is fairly standard, but this is absolutely tiny. Like, you're not going to get much more detail than that at that size. Back of the same sprue is fairly standard. Honestly, you're not going to see most of this. But that tongue there actually still has detail underneath, which you probably won't see, honestly. This is so it can connect. And you'll notice that's the same on both of them. Because they both connect to the same area of the mini. All right, and here we come to the actual main piece. This is what's going to be drawing your attention. The actual monster itself. The actual eye... I don't think you really could do a Death Tyrant out of that. It's going to be a little bit obvious. I mean, you could. I suspect that you'll probably want to wait for them to actually release one, though. Detail on this is phenomenal. Much better than I was expecting it to be, honestly. Like I said, Wizkids are not known for phenomenal sculpting. It's not really what their wheelhouse is. They tend to release cheaper products, which is fine. That's not a criticism. The detail on this is much better than I expected it to be. Looks nice and thick too. So it should stand up to a little bit of abuse if you're dropping it accidentally. We've got one last sprue here. More details of the body. More eye stalks. Really, really nice detail. A couple of extra teeth here. And then you have a layout of everything that comes in the box. So this is where I'm really surprised, because it didn't just come with the one mini. Now, obviously, the benefit of these framework ones is that you can customize it however you want. There's a couple of different versions of these. We just happen to have the beholder here because it's what he got for Christmas. But the fact that it comes with what I'm going to continue calling a baby beholder is amazing, because I wasn't expecting that. Oh no, it is on the box. I just didn't notice it. He's pictured down here. It's also probably worth noting, this QR code goes to a retail demo of the product that, as far as I can tell, gives no helpful information to the customer at all. feel free to scan and have a look for yourself. I would argue that shouldn't be on the retail packaging. I think that's a waste. This should, in my opinion, be leading to an electronic copy of the instructions. Or I don't know, maybe lead to an instructions that tells you what you can actually do with the product, because it doesn't show you that at all. It's just a retail demo page of what the product is. So there's some criticism for you. That is wrong, in my opinion. Otherwise, honestly, this is a phenomenal product. The retail price on this product is a little bit odd. I've seen it anywhere from $69.95 to $49.95 at retail. I've been able to find it as cheap as $35 on sale, which doesn't count. So it's kind of hard to gauge value-wise with such a large discrepancy in what is supposed to be the recommended retail price. $69.95 feels very expensive for this, so I assume it's the $44.99, and I assume that the other website I'm looking at is trying to make it sound cheaper than it is by inflating a price. I can't really say for sure, but I would recommend to look it up for yourself. Frameworks Beholder is all you need to do to find it. It's fairly easy to find the framework stuff, honestly. They're fairly, you should find them in your local game store now. Because obviously D&D is a huge thing right now, and only seems to be getting more popular. But when it comes to that, again, you shouldn't have to justify your hobby to anybody. But if you're curious for yourself what other things cost, lo and behold, we're not alone in this. Most hobbies cost money. You've made it through to the end of another video. Your next mission is to hit subscribe and comment down below. If you'd like to reach out to the team, consider doing that, gettingtabled@gmail.com. Consider subscribing to our Patreon. For only $2 a month, you get early access to almost every single video that we do. Our most active social media is facebook.com/gettingtabled. It's where you'll find everything first. There's also a Discord. There's an invite on screen right now. If you type that in, it'll give you instant access. If you're on Twitter or Instagram, you can find us at gettingtabled. It's not the most active, but it's something we're trying to use more all the time. Come and check out Jason the Bruce at Twitch. He does both video game and hobby content. And of course, without question, play more games.